भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंशस्तनूभिः व्यासेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति न पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ. O gods, may we hear what is auspicious with our ears. O ye who are worthy of worship, may we see with our eyes what is auspicious. With strong bodies and limbs, may we spend the rest of our life in adoring and pleasing the Lord. May all the gods bestow peace and joy upon us. Om. Peace, peace, peace be unto us all. So good morning. Today we are talking about, topic is Nitya and Leela. These two words have been used by Sri Ramakrishna many times in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We all know that we are students of Vedanta, we all know that it is Nitya is that which is eternal. That means which is absolute. Just this song we heard, that explained what is Nitya. Not the body, not the mind, not the things around, not the changeable item, but that which is eternal, unchanging, absolute. So that is called the Nitya. But then there is Leela also. Leela means, it is said that Leela is the creation, the divine play. In one sense we call the Lord, when He plays in the world in the form of innumerable appearances, in diverse names and forms and ideologies. And God, it is the absolute who is unchanging, who is absolutely calm and serene and perfect all the time. But He plays the role in the form of this world, with its beauty and its horror. But Leela, we always think that it should be sweet. But Leela is also very frightening sometimes. So that is a part of Leela, means the play. It's the play of the divine. The Lord playing in this world in hundreds and thousands of ways. Then why play should be horror? Yes, it's a part of the play. To make the play more fun, more enjoyable. So opposite things are available in the creation all the time. But in the creation, this is often explained by the Vaishnava devotees, the lovers of God. They think that it is all, everything is Leela or the play, a divine sport, not human sport, but the divine sport. A conception that introduces the elements of spontaneity and freedom into the universe. God creates this universe freely, without any string attached to it. It's out of fun. Sri Ramakrishna gave the example, like that it happens when the children, they play. When they play with freedom, and they create with freedom and destroy in its own freedom. So there is nothing, attachment is there. So the spontaneous freedom, spontaneous play is there, and that play is based on freedom, not under any compulsion. Who will make him to be compulsive of doing anything, because he is free, that absolute infinite. So this is the philosophical term, this lila, this relative, is the actually co-relative of nitya, the absolute. Absolute and lila, this play, they are not two, but they are one. Sri Ramakrishna placed it very uniquely in different areas while talking about the creation and its diverse manifestation. So it is in the different Upanishads we find the same idea, how tangibly it has been given. The truth is the same. There is only one truth, whether it is in the absolute form or in the form of the play. So when it is play, then it comes in the time, space and causation, and our mind is the factor which perceives those. So long the mind is there, this perception of duality, and this duality is created by now. Who is created this duality? It is, Vedanta says, it is illusion. It is Maya. It is ignorance. There is only one truth. But bhaktas say no. It is the charming play of the Lord. Both the fury and the sweetness in this play. Both makes the play. As we go to the movie, if you see the movie, always only everyone sitting and meditating and very joyful and cheerful, people don't pay and go to visit that movie much. It does not get a hit. It becomes a hit when there is a variety of it. Cruelty will be there, love will be there, singing will be there, dancing will be there, and all this mixed together. And probably more horror nowadays we see. Wherever horror, that is more appealing to people. But question is why? That is the fun. You cannot say anything. Why people pay more money for seeing the horror movies? You can answer me this question. There is no positive response to it. For fun. They like this. So God also plays both ways, that lila. But mainly, we as spiritual students will take lila as the play of the Lord, and through that we learn who is playing behind, and through that we can reach a different level of our inner reality. In the Prashna Upanishad we find that there is a beautiful analysis, step by step it goes, and it continues to say that there is a drashta. Esha hi drashta spasta shrota ghata rashaita manta buddha karta vigganatma purushaha. That means there is in this play, see, there is in you and me, there is someone, it is he, who sees, who feels, who hears, who smells, tastes, thinks, knows, and he feels that I am the doer. He is the doer, the intelligent soul. He is called the Purusha, called as he is limited, because we have the limitation. But this Jivatman, this Purusha, is established in the Supreme Sa Pare Akshare Atmani Sampratishthati. That Jivatman who is inside, it is actually established in the Supreme Immutable Atman, or that truth which is we are talking about, the Nitya. So the Leela, the part is playing here, individual who actually sees things, feels, drashta, seeing, sprashta means is feeling, shrota, listening, hearing, grata, smelling, rasayita, tasting, manta, imagining, questioning, buddha, understanding. That is all the functions of the senses and the mind and the intellect. They are all been possible because it is the intelligent soul, and that is called the Purusha, and that is established in that Atman, the ever-shining consciousness. Now that we understand that there is some consciousness, we all understand that behind this petty existence of body-mind, there is somebody who is perceiving, the witness. But how that tends to the absolute concept of Nitya, this is in the relative plane, that one Atman is perceiving the whole universe, tasting, touching, sensing, understanding, all the emotions, everything is functioning because the Upanishad says that is this because of this Purusha. But that Purusha is individual soul. And that individual soul is Sa Pare Akshari Atmani Sampratishthate. That Atman, that individual self is in the Atman, the eternal self. And Upanishad also clarifies much beautifully, giving an example. It says, Sajatha, as like. What is that? Ime Nadya Sandamanaha. All the rivers that you see that are all flowing. And where flowing? Samudrayana, towards the ocean. And Samudrang Prapyo, attaining to that ocean or the sea. Astang Gachanti, they merge. All the rivers flowing from all directions, diverse streams, all merge into that ocean. Sandamana is flowing towards the ocean. And as the example, that Prapyo and attaining that ocean, what happens? The Astang Gachanti, they actually merge into the ocean. Namarupe Samudra iti evo. All the names, all their names, whatever the names of the individual rivers and all the water flowing, all merge. When they merge, they lose their individual name and form. Samudra iti. And what is the name they carry then? Ocean. That is the name they carry. And prachyate. And people speak only of that ocean only. They don't talk about individual rivers, their names and their descriptions. So individual soul then merge into that ocean of consciousness. This is just a analogy. And then he says, Evam eva asya paridashtu ima shurasakala purushayanaha. This 16 kolas, this is the seer, this seer who is seeing this, which have 16 parts, then his mind, intellect, ego, these all mixed together. That then rests in that Purusha, resting in him alone. In that him means that eternal absolute ocean. Purushang Prapyo. And then Purushayana, that's the ayana of the Purusha, individual soul. And the merge there, when Purushang Prapyo, attaining that Purusha, that eternal consciousness, that absolute, what they do? Astang Gachanti. They merge there and they have no other identity. And Vidyate Tashang Nayama Nama Rupe, exactly the same way, the individual soul in this universe, Vidyate Tashang Nama Rupe, they destroy their names and forms and other identities, are all destroyed when Purushaiti and when he merges into that reality which is the absolute. And it is said, Sa esho akalo amrito bhavati. And when the names and forms are all destroyed, and then what remains, these people then speak about the Purusha as what? Then he becomes devoid of all kolas and immortal. And then they reach beyond limitation, beyond death, that absolute, which is unchangeable. So this is in every Upanishad you can find such hints, how they describe this universe, and they describe their absolute reality. So absolute reality, what is called the Nitya. And this Leela, this play, the divine play is going on, and this play with names and forms, and with its perception of the universe as also the perceiver here. This is the Leela. Whose Leela? And devotees will say, it is God's Leela. If one can take it in that perspective, then that individual, so long the mind is here, so long our personal identity is there, our individual cravings and frustrations are there, this makes the differentiation pitiable and miserable in our life. But when we understand that it is the conscious behind, that is the Nitya, eternal truth, and there we all merge. That is the example given in the Upanishad also. When you go to the deep sleep, that is, we are merging almost to that our eternal dignity, eternal self, unchanging, absolute state. And though don't merge, but we get a glimpse of that. That's why Sushupti is the closest expression of that absolute joy. And in Samadhi only, they can break to that last barrier and become united with the absolute. So this is the Nitya or eternal absolute, and this is the side where we are in the play of this drama. And this drama, the producer, writer is God. He wrote this drama and he is split into this way and playing in his own fun and joy. And we are just playing in our own roles. Is it a beautiful idea, if one can think? It is a Leela, or God's Leela going on. You, me are only a part of it, just playing our own. It is not by your control, but the control of the divine. The devotees look at that. So Vedanta, also we know that simply thing, it is not two. Vedanta also expresses, but it is a fine distinction. This type of understanding about what is the eternal, Nitya, absolute, and the relative play of this creation, there is only little difference in the understanding. Vedanta says what? Vedanta says Brahman alone is reality. We always read that, we always study that. Brahma Satyam, only truth. And what about this? Brahma Satyam, that means this name and form, what we see, are apparent. You see, but it is no real. You see the mirage, but it is not real. You see that there is water in this heat, in a hot climate, you go in the freeway and you can see water in the road itself. But when you be close, it goes away. So this world name and form is there, but it is apparent. Though apparent, it gives an illusion of the reality. But alone, Brahman alone is there. This is only illusion. It is only appearance, and that appearance is not permanent. It is only temporarily. It comes and it goes away momentarily. Therefore, what is this? This is Brahma Satyam. That is the Shankara's great description. Brahma Satyam and Jagan Mithya. This Jagat, this world is all false, or it is only seen but not true. It has no real permanent entity. This is for the Vedantic student. But you know, Vedanta also beautifully says, it didn't end there. Shankara didn't say that. Only ended there this statement. The Slokardhena Pravakshami Yaduktam Grantha Kotivi. I will tell you in happy verse what the scriptures have described in millions and millions of texts. What is that? Brahma Satyam. Brahman alone is true. Jagat Mithya. He didn't end here. Jagat Mithya. Then comes the second beautiful word, Jiva. Brahma Eva. Na Apara. This Jiva, this individual as we are, then we are what? This is what? Jiva, Brahma Eva. It is only Brahman. See, the name and form, we see it is also Brahman. So here is a question. When people ascend to that absolute truth, this may be analysis for the Gyanis, the followers of the path of knowledge. These are illusion, these are unreal, these are not, these are not, these are not. Then you go to the absolute and see what a transformation comes. When you come down from that end, you see, hey, what I saw is name and form. These are all the same reality. Only the ocean water in different waves and forms. A transformation comes. And Jiva, then Jiva, all Shiva, is all Brahman. Jiva, Brahmayeva, no opera. There is nothing else other than that Brahman consciousness. Only Brahman and Brahman alone. Names and forms, then actually it is not nullified. It is not said it is Maya. It is no more stands the language than Maya. But it says it is Brahman. Jiva Brahma Eva. Shiva. Jiva is Shiva. In ignorant stage, it is Jiva. He has a good quality, bad quality. Renounce this bad and then even give up good. Good is not good. Because good is also in the time-space causation limit, and also it has its own imperfections. So, Sri Ramakrishna here speaks a very beautiful word. He says that both the Leela and the Nitya, they belong to the same reality. Beautiful word, no? The Brahman, the Leela, he is not saying Brahman, but the language Leela and Nitya, it is, we are taking that two words. So Sri Ramakrishna said, both the Leela and the Nitya belong to the same reality. In one form, which is absolute, and in another, Leela. It seems so simple. Sri Ramakrishna, when he expresses any spiritual ideal, it appears to so simple. And to understand that, all the philosophers split their hairs and fight with each other for hundreds and thousands of years. Which is right? This is wrong. And this can be right, it cannot be right then. One thing should be right, this is wrong. But you see, what a reconciliation. And also the Upanishad gives those glimpses, but we cannot catch that. But Sri Ramakrishna is very straightforward and hits it very beautifully, that both the Leela and the Nitya, they belong to the same reality. And in one form, if you look at one form, it is the absolute, and in another form, you look it as Leela. Even though the Leela is destroyed, even though the Leela, or this name and form, this what we see, destroyed, the Nitya, eternal, exists all the time. Water is water. Whether it is still or in waves, it is the same water when the waves quiet down. Sri Ramakrishna's words. He says, even though the Leela, this world, the entire world of name and form, goes to total annihilation, what will happen? Only the waves will go away. The ocean will not go anywhere. So he says that Nitya always exists and it will remain. Water is water, whether it is in the wave form or it is non-wave form. And when the waves quiet down, it is the same. So Sri Ramakrishna continues this idea and he says that in one form he is the absolute, and in another he is the relative. What does Vedanta teach? Brahman alone is real and the world is illusory. Isn't that so? But as long as God keeps the ego of a devotee, ego, single quote, ego of a devotee in man, the relative is also real. So long I am here, I cannot deny this world is non-existing. No. So long my ego is there, Sri Ramakrishna says, you will have to accept this duality as real. So, as long as God keeps the ego, this is the point here. We are saying, I see, I do. It is as if I am the boss. Sri Ramakrishna says, by God's will. By God's will, how long this ego is there in us, the relative is real. Really, that is everyday struggle. We are in this world. Does it appear that it is unreal? Oh, when I get a blow from someone, I cry. Is it unreal? Who will say? When you bite a chili, your tongue burns. So is it unreal? So what will you say? Is it unreal? Is it flood? The heat is unreal? Then why are you talking? It is all Leela. Where is Brahman? Where is Atman here? Sri Ramakrishna solved. So long as there is a ego of a devotee, we have our ego, so long that ego is there, then what remains, it is relative, is also real. When he completely now, it's a devotee stand. Leela is a term of the devotee. So when God, by His grace, completely effaces the ego, suppose ego is gone from someone, then what remains? That cannot be described by the tongue. What remains, who will say? So long ego is there, you can say. So long ego is there, you can feel that it is hot, it is cold. If the ego is gone, how can you describe anything there? Even in our deep sleep condition, when you go to deep sleep, where our ego is not manifested, and that time you can praise someone to the highest heaven, or you can just scold with most abusive word. It does not matter. For him it is not there. But now, if they say single something, some words of praise or something, then what happens? It is so real. We jump like a monkey immediately. Reaction comes, no? So this is the thing. Then when he completely effaces the ego, then what remains? That cannot be described by the tongue. But as long as God keeps the ego, one must accept all. You removing the outer sheaths of the plantain tree, you reach the inner pith. You have no idea. The flower of the plantain flower, if you take out, you reach the pith. As long as the tree contains seeds, it also contains the pith. So they go together. It is there. So too, as long as it contains the pith, it also contains the seeds. The pith goes with the seeds, and the seeds go with the pith. In the same way, when you speak of the Nitya, it is understood that the Leela also exists. In your experience, if you go to the Leela, absolute, in Samadhi, then there is no Nitya, there is no Leela. If you go to Samadhi, who will say that it is absolute? If ego is not there, who will measure that it is absolute, it is eternal, it is permanent, it is full of joy, it is full of bliss? Who will say that? So the ego is necessary. And when the ego totally goes, you cannot say that the relative world is there or that oneness is there. So it is beyond speech. Our Upanishads declare it cannot be expressed. So Sri Ramakrishna says that when you speak of the Nitya, when you are talking about the absolute, Brahman, Atman, consciousness, it is understood that Leela also exists. It is to be accepted that you are accepting this duality. You are accepting this play, the divine play is going on. And when you speak of the Leela, if you say it is God's Leela going on, then it is understood that the Nitya, the eternal, also exists. It is He alone who has become the universe. Here comes the harmony, harmonizing these two principles. It is He, capital, alone, who has become the universe, living beings and the 24 cosmic principles. Even the 24 cosmic principles, the air, fire, water, etc., from that to your mind, to your intellect, to your ego, everything falls in the level of the 24 cosmic principles, and everything is only He alone. When he is actionless, then I call him Brahman. And when he creates, preserves and destroys, I call him Shakti. Brahman and Shakti are not different from each other. Water is water, whether it is still or it is moving. So this is the major point, that Nitya is, so long Nitya, concept of Nitya is there, we have to accept this universe as Leela. And if we accept that it's God's play going on, then we can, as devotees, we can look at it and make a journey into the spirit by taking it proper attitude. A devotee can look at that everything is happening, Ramakrishna used to say, it is his play. Even the leaf that is moving, it is his will. It is his play going on. So it is identifying ourselves with the cosmic will. And that is a step to move towards the absolute, step by step. It's said that apart from the philosophical part, we need to meditate on Nitya and Leela both in our day-to-day spiritual life. If we look at the whole world, it is God's play going on. But we can intellectually think again and again, and even thinking will give us certain peace. But for our regular practice, we can do this Nitya and Leela two together, practice as a spiritual discipline. With a limited mind, you can meditate on the Nitya, the absolute. Absolute is a boundaryless, timeless, spaceless, infinite ocean of joy, infinite ocean of bliss. You can keep your mind, and feel that everything is permeated by that one absolute joy. Okay? Names and forms are all dissolved, as it were. But one cannot keep that for a longer time, Ramakrishna says. So with our limited mind, we cannot think of the absolute. Though we try, how much we try, then this absolute Nitya becomes a form. It reduces into one form. And that we can try to create one image, that image is only my mental range of perception. Therefore, sometimes its concept of infinity is also concept, it is a concept for me. So we come to form and name again, even if we think of the absolute Satchidananda, Nitya. Thinking of Nitya, it's better we think that I am not thinking of small forms of Buddha, Rama, Krishna like that, but I am thinking of infinite. But in the name of thinking about infinite or meditating on the infinite, we are as bound to think of some form or some limited perception according to our capability of our mind. Now Rama, Krishna, Christ, Buddha, they are the expression of the highest reading of Brahman. Highest reading of Brahman, we do not know Brahman because my mind cannot conceive. But as I have my mind, as I live in this body and I have my ego, then I can visualize something which is the highest expression of, or nearer expression of the absolute. Absolute joy, absolute peace, absolute purity, absolute kindness, absolute empathy. If we look at that Christ, Buddha, Ramas, they are the examples before us. Therefore, we can meditate on their glory. First, not thinking about this world. The devotees normally think about God, say Krishna devotees. They spend their days thinking about the childhood days of Krishna, how he was born, how he used to play with his cowherd boys along with the gopis and this and that. And the whole life story, if we think of that, this is a lila. Thinking of that, a mind can be kept for a long time in this playful mood. And by this touch of the divine divinity, because they are the closest expression of the absolute, closest expression of Satchidananda. Therefore, when we think, our mind gets colored in the coloring of the divine. As a result, unconsciously, our mind is tending towards becoming egoless. And then God's ego takes possession of us. And then God's ego will ultimately merge into that absolute which is beyond time. So we can meditate on their glory, we can meditate on their beauty, we can think of the divine sports and grow love more and more for these divine entities. When mind will be lost in the thought of any one of the chosen ideal we call, what will happen? It is called the Shaguna Brahma. And then this meditation and prayer and thinking of the divine in this way and feeling about his sport, what he did. Say, you go to Ramakrishna. In the Gospel of Ramakrishna you can find. So much description is there. Sri Ramakrishna is sitting in Dakshineshwar. He is going to meet the devotees and discussing something. And these are the statements we read just now. And talking about something, he is going to ecstasy. Let me tell you, let me read a part of that ecstasy. See, beautiful idea here we find. Sri Ramakrishna said that during my sadhana, that is very important, what I want to link with it. It's not a philosophical discussion only, but how we can benefit out of it. Sri Ramakrishna says, during my sadhana, when I meditated, I would actually see a person sitting with a trident in hand. He would threaten to strike me with the weapons unless I fix my mind on the lotus feet of God. That means there is a concept of Papu Purusha. Anyhow, there is a divine entity who is forcing the mind to focus on God. Then the Divine Mother would put me, because of these practices, Sri Ramakrishna said, the Divine Mother would put me in such a state that sometimes my mind would come down from the Nitya to the Lila, and sometimes go up from Lila to Nitya. This is a beautiful play. Only the incarnations such spiritual people can do. Go to Samadhi and come back. It is going up and down, as it were. But it is ordinary spiritual seeker. In one time, if they go, they are called liberated souls, Jivan Mukta. But experience, what he says, is unique, what we can learn. Because these are, where will you get such vivid description about how the mind moves from the relative to the absolute and absolute to the relative. He says, sometimes when the mind descends to the Lila, I would meditate day and night, then Sita and Rama. At those times I would constantly behold the form of Sita and Rama. Ram Lala was my constant companion. Ram Lala was the baby Rama. Baby Rama, which we have also here. Baby Rama. For us it is an image made of some metal. But for Ramakrishna, it is a living entity. And he used to live with Ram Lala in the relative plane. When in Samadhi, he is lost. But when he comes down, he lived in that constant. And he sees everywhere Rama, Rama, Rama. And then, again, I used to be absorbed in the ideal, sometimes in Radha Krishna, and would constantly see their forms. Or again, I would be absorbed in Gauranga, Sri Chaitanya. He is the harmonizing of the two ideals, the Purusha and Prakriti. At such times, I would always see the form of Gauranga. See? Whenever, it's a beautiful state of mind. When going to that plane, when he comes down into the play to keep the mind, it's a one divine entity. All divine entities are the divine forms of the one absolute. And with that pure mind, they see the Lila. It is all Krishna playing. It is all Rama. It is everywhere Rama. It is Sri Chaitanya. He is everywhere. So that concept takes possession of them. And then sometimes he says, then after doing that, sometimes in this descending in the level of Lila, then a change came over me. the mind left the plane of Leela. This Leela of Krishna, watching Krishna and seeing Krishna everywhere with a little ego, pure ego, is living in the world. And then the mind left the plane of the Leela and ascend to the Nitya. And I found no distinction between the sacred tulasi leaf and the ordinary sajina leaf, another ordinary leaf, plant. I no longer enjoyed seeing the forms of God. I said to myself, they come and go. This Leela means always play. It comes and goes. The Ramakrishna said, I lifted my mind above them. I removed all the pictures of gods and goddesses from my room and began to meditate on the primal Purusha, the indivisible Satchidananda, regarding myself as his handmaid. So he lifted his consciousness into the level of Satchidananda. So this is a beautiful tool which has been given here, that we can practice to think of the Leela. That's a good practice for keeping the mind in while we are in the day-to-day activity. We can think that my Ishta Devata has taken the form of so many people, so many forms, trees, plants, anything we see, it is that. It is appearing before, playing to help me to be connected with him. And then sometimes one can think of the formless, nameless, absolute, that truth. So this is the point that one person can practice this ascending and descending aspect. That means sometimes staying in the form, sometimes staying in the formless. And if we can blend this, then probably with eyes open, one can practice to feel the presence of the same Lord everywhere. That idea of oneness may come. That is the Leela and Nitya. They should merge in one place. So, coming down from that experience, one will see that Nitya, the same Nitya, which is absolute, as if he is moving. The same water of the ocean, as if running on the surface of the ocean and taking different waves and different forms and different shapes, but it is only that water, it is the Nitya. So Nitya is the ultimate, eternal is the ultimate, but eternal is playing. And that relationship is beautiful relationship, and devotees try to create a relationship with that absolute Nitya in the form of Leela, calling him my father, my mother, my friend, my child, all these different relationships moving in the form and names. So that is the Sri Ramakrishna guides us to run from the level of practicing every day this Leela, bringing our association that this whole play, it is not to think as a matter. Let us think that it is a play of the divine is going on, and the same divine which is beyond is playing in these so many forms. So if that concept is brought every day, then the distinction between God and this mundane, the real, unreal, that distinction will gradually collapse. And what will remain, that is the only that one truth manifesting in so many ways. So Nitya is the eternal truth, Leela is the same truth appearing in name and form, and there is appearance, maybe brighter appearance, darker appearance, clearer expression, milder expression, expression of anger, expression of frustration, expression of joy. But it is the play of the same divine in millions and millions of forms. So Nitya and Leela, it can be thought as expression of the one thing in two different ways. So spiritual practice, and spiritual practice wise, every day if we can think about our master's Leela, whatever is your chosen ideal, Christ, think of Christ. People think of his sports, divine sports, all the, of course, the pathetic sin Christianity takes. We want to take the joyful aspect of it. We want to take Krishna's playing, dancing, singing, eating, this, that. And Christ's time we see that is all these last days of situation going from one stage to the other and to crucifixion. The people do that and they create such emotion for God. So that is the Leela, thinking of the Leela. But we have beautiful expressions of Leela in the Gospel, in Holy Mother, in Swami Vivekananda's books, or you like Sri Chaitanya, you can find in Sri Chaitanya's life. You read Buddha's life, you can find enormous such descriptions. And thinking that they are not human, but they are consolidated form of that absolute, which is the timeless in the form, only seeing in the form that same absolute. So if we can practice that, then Leela can lead us to Nitya. And the concept of Nitya manifesting as Leela will make the life more pleasing and joyful. Thank you.
Today, in the afternoon, Swami Sarvadevanandaji will be going to the Swami Vivekananda house in South Pasadena for a mini retreat from 4 to 6 in the room in which Swami Vivekananda himself lived, meditating, singing, chanting, reading. Then from 6 to 7, going downstairs, having some snacks, and reading and discussing the teachings of Swami Vivekananda. It's a wonderful way to spend a Sunday afternoon. That's in South Pasadena, Swami Vivekananda House, this afternoon. I think there'll be some carpooling also from here, so if you'd like to join, speak with Maharaj, or you can ask me also. Then tomorrow, we have another special day, all-day retreat here in Hollywood. Our annual Labor Day retreat, focusing on the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that wonderful document from which Maharaj read today. We'll be reading the whole thing in the morning, collectively. Collectively, we read the entire Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, enjoy the noon worship, take prasad, lunch together, and then in the afternoon we have a concert, musical, classical Indian music, and then we'll have some discussion of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna and a short talk from Maharaj as well. So that's tomorrow, Labor Day. And next Saturday, a few volunteers are going from Vedanta Society to participate in an interfaith build at Habitat for Humanity. We're working on building a house with people from different faith traditions, Christians and Jews and Buddhists and everything else. So if you'd like to join us, I'll be going along with 2 or 3 other devotees. Speak to me, please, after the talk. And next week's talk...
Swami Dhanu Yogananda will be speaking. His topic is the inner life.
One more thing, that we are in need of 1 or 2 more volunteers for Sunday to keep everything running smoothly during our Sunday service. We have several opportunities for you to join in service, which is we need 1 or 2 more people to usher, and 1 or 2 more people to help with Sunday school for kids once a month on a Sunday. Need maybe 1 or 2 more volunteers in the library. And if someone that likes a sound setup, knows or wants to learn about how to set up microphones and things like that, it's a great opportunity to learn it here. Thank you.
So we have so many announcements, but come tomorrow specially for the Labor Day retreat. And then, of course, the volunteers are very much needed. We are all becoming old. So we need young people to join and help us. Okay, the next, as we have announced, Sunday will be Dhanu Yogananda will be speaking on the inner life. I will close with one chant again. Om apyayantu mamangani bhak pranas chakshu shrotram athavalam indriyani cha sarvani sarvang brahma upanishadam mahang brahma nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarod Anirakaranamastu Anirakaranang meostu Tadatmani Nirateja Upanishatsu Dharmaha Te Mai Shantu Te Mai Shantu Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Om. May all functions of our minds, the works of our bodies, and the activities of the senses please the Almighty Brahman, who is described in the Vedanta. May we not forget him. May we realize his presence in us. May we not be forsaken by him. May all divine qualities adorn our souls and bring peace to our minds. Om, peace, peace, peace. We will have